The earth is scarred in way too many places that we can even begin to comprehend, realizing how old it actually is, and also realizing how little we had to do with its existence. How little we had to do to comprehend that we were just a mere byproduct of an ever existing life cycle. And, well, we never know. We might not be it. We still don't know about aliens. There hasn't been any disclosure yet. But considering that if there's any other signs of life that are ever discovered ever, it would be obvious that we were merely a minuscule byproduct of the equations that were already pandering out on the larger scales. Either way, going to scars of the Earth would be meteors and asteroids that crashed onto our planet a long, long time ago. And today we're going to look at the biggest ones that made a huge impact. And some that were are rather unique. Alright, so the non-observable one, which is the largest one that was found recently, the Yarabuba impact structure is, well, technically not a crater anymore. It was a crater when it made impact, that was around 2.2 billion years ago. But right now, it is essentially inexistent, considering its sheer size when it was formed. A lot of land displacement over the year, a lot of, well, atmospheric forces made sure that it was all leveled out by now. But that does not mean that there aren't craters out there that are very, very evident. Moving on to the second one would be the first most observable one. The Vredefort crater in South Africa is one of the biggest craters ever. It's almost 300 kilometers across. It's a dome and it is huge in terms of its sheer presence. Now, considering that when it made impact around 2 billion years ago, it was nothing short of, well, astounding. It was very weird that anything survived, but it did. So this isn't the crater that you could say is the reason for mass extinction events, but it was nevertheless a crater that was ginormous. Moving on to the Sudbury crater. Now this crater is in Canada, and something interesting about this crater is the fact that it is considered the second largest observable crater on the Earth. But when it made impact, it made a land displacement of around 260 kilometers. But today it's more or less around 130 kilometers across. The residue of the impact is around 130 kilometers across. So it's not as wide, but the initial displacement that it did, that was ginormous. As a matter of fact, this impact was the only impact that had evidence of it being thrown, with rocks and debris being flung around 800 to 900 kilometers around it. An impact in Canada resulted in a part of the crater rocks that were displaced to be found around 800 kilometers in the United States, near Minnesota. So it's just weird when you look at the sheer scales of things we're looking at right now. You are not by any means looking at anything that can be displaced that far away unless it was traveling at the speeds that this particular meteor was traveling at. Now, there have been theories in science fiction movies everywhere that have shown that one big one is all it's going to take to wipe us all out. But there has already been one big one now, hasn't there? The one that took out the dinosaurs. The Chicxulub crater in Mexico is widely considered as the dino killer, the one that wiped the dinosaurs out. But what else did it do? Now, this isn't as old as the ones that we spoke about earlier. It's somewhere bordering around 65 million years ago, which completely ties together with the timeline of when the last existing dinosaurs were abundant throughout the earth. It is estimated to be somewhere around 240 kilometers, which makes sense considering its sheer impact on a global scale. But currently, under the observable guidelines, it's around 150 kilometers wide, thereby bringing it lower in the rankings. Now, the final crater that we're going to be talking about today is something that's rather special. And why it's rather special is going to blow your damn mind. Why? Because this impact crater was essentially a meteor crashing into a very high pressure zone already in terms of atmospheric pressures. But where it landed was like a carbon rich graphite rock deposit. Now, carbon rich graphite under immense pressure. What is that the recipe for? Well, it's the recipe for diamonds. This meteor strike on Earth created one of the most abundant diamond reserves anybody has ever seen on a larger scale. This legit created a diamond reserve the likes of which have never been seen before. As a matter of fact, it is so valuable to the Russian government that they've kept everything regarding it completely secret, completely concealed. But the fact of the matter is that it does exist and it does hold a lot of value on an international scale. Imagine a place where if you went digging, you'd walk out with every rock being a diamond. Well, those are odds that anybody would take. And it makes sense. Why wouldn't you? Bottom line being, the Earth has always been shelled with meteors left, right and center. The moon has got enormous holes. Why? Because it's been shielding us for a long time. That's like 6th grade science. But at the end of the day, what we don't realize is the fact that the moon is not going to be able to save us when it matters most. That if there is an asteroid or a comet out there that's on a trajectory to collide with the Earth, the moon by any means is not going to be able to do anything about deflecting it or, for the matter of fact, even slowing it down. Considering that the moon in its volume isn't as dense as the Earth to begin with, it would not take much for the moon to completely get destroyed with one clean sweep. If the right size meteor or the right size asteroid or a comet that's on a collision course manages to get a good enough impact on it. Just the right amount of connection can send it flying into the Earth, creating one of the worst mass extinction events we will ever witness. If there is anyone left to tell the tale, that is. We are so preoccupied with fighting amongst us about mundane reasons, not understanding that we as humans should be united and present a united front against the vastness of the universe and the vast array of issues and problems that it's gonna be tossing our way. We believe that we as a civilization can get so advanced that nothing, absolutely nothing can get in the way. But that's never the case. There have been evidences of ancient humans being so smart that they would tie together everything with the stars, the pyramids. But it always boils down to if you are willing to set aside your differences and carve out a place for your own amongst the stars. We all know that by no means whatsoever will joining a universal federation of planets, if it ever exists, is going to be an easy job. The first thing they're going to want is unity amongst our species. which is, well, to be very honest, far-fetched. There are too many ideological differences among us right now, and it's a little far-fetched to believe that there would be a time sooner than later where we could just put everything aside. There have been claims by presidents of the past that wouldn't it be the driving force if we were to find out that there was alien life out there? That we as a species had to come together as one in order to fight the others that are already one. It's far-fetched for now, considering that there is nowhere near any signs for disclosure. But sooner rather than later, we will realize as a species that we could have done more, that we needed to do more, that these ancient scars that are on our planet tells a tale of coming very, very close to never being able to say anything, witness anything at all. Any one of these larger scale impact craters could have been it for us, could have been it for the Earth as a planet. A large enough impact could destroy the Earth as a whole, could throw off enough debris into the atmosphere to create it into a thermal runaway planet. So many things could have gone wrong, but none of them did. I believe that in our lifetime, we have always heard of meteors being burned up in the atmosphere. Nothing larger than Tunguska, apparently. That was a larger event that we witnessed in our immediate understanding of things. What the future holds, we aren't aware of. We are not sure about whether it would make sense to put up defenses in some way, shape or form that might help us carve out a future without fear of everything just being taken away from us overnight. Or maybe we understand that we as a civilization need to be together and not apart. That the only way we can make sense of what the future of humanity holds is if humanity is one. Not segmented, one. So that if we have to sign up or stand up, we are together as a unit. I believe that's what these scars tell us. That the ones before us didn't understand, and we understand all too well. They say scars tell a story. Well, these are scars on the earth. And you're very, very right when you say that they do tell a story. I just hope that before the next one, we are a united people. Alright, see you guys.